you had an opportunity to buy a tax deed for $303.83 and sold it for $9,000, but you never actually put up the $303.83. It was done at the closing table, and you never spent a dime. So it really was an infinite return on your money. Am I correct?
You're correct.
Okay. Yeah. So that makes it even better. That she actually never even spent the money and still basically wholesaled it out. In reality, she wholesaled the tax deed.
Text me and I'll text you back. Text me and I'll text you back. Text me and I'll text you back. You text me then I'll text you back. Text me then I'll text you back. TikTok, you don't stop. I will help you make your paper stack. Where you at? Where you at? Where you at? Where you at now? 205-964-52439. You know. 205-964-52439. You know.
Hello, guys. This is Ty, aka the Flip Man, and today I have a very, very special guest here. We're going to talk about tax deeds, tax liens, tax certificates, and how you can start making money with those particular, I guess you would say, assets that you're basically just taking advantage of the laws on the books for property taxes, right? And when people don't pay them. So I've ignored it for years, even though I've had numerous opportunities to get involved, just being lazy, complacent. I've ignored it here locally in my state. But as time goes on, and part of the reason why I produce content is being able to meet individuals like Dr. Michelle, aka the tax deed doctor, and she made me see the light. So enough of me talking about that, enough of me blabbing. How's it going, Michelle?
Oh, hi, Ty. Not too bad, thank you. It's a nice sunny day here. How are you?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, great. Same here, sunny here too. So she's here to share her unbelievable knowledge about the business and how you can get involved also. So as I like to do, Michelle, I like to just start with if you'll just give us a little background about yourself and what led you into investing and so on.
Okay, so once again, thank you so much for having me today. I really appreciate it, Ty. I appreciate you. So just a little bit about background about myself. I'm Dr. Michelle Commichon. I have a PhD in economics. So that's what my doctorate is in, economics. I professionally, I'm a university professor, and I've worked in many universities around the world, some of the best universities around the world, teaching economics, finance, business, all the way up to PhD level, EMBAs, MBAs, etc. So I decided to come out of the lecture theatre because I went in when I was pretty young, decided to come out and get into the world of entrepreneurship and business, and actually do business, not just teach it, but actually do business. And it's been an interesting ride. It's entrepreneurship is pretty tough, but it's also exhilarating at the same time. So to cut a long story short, what got me into property? It's an area that I've been looking at for a long while, been very interested. And then COVID happened. I had a chance, like many other people, to really reassess my life and look at new opportunities. And I decided to look back into the sphere of real estate. And you're one of the people that I came across, Flip Man. And I watched many of your videos. There are other people as well, but I certainly watched many of your videos. And I did actually contact you, I think, a couple of years ago.
A couple of years ago, yeah.
years ago, and tried my hand at wholesaling in the way that you did it. And the thing is with real estate, there really is a niche for every different personality type.
Mm-hmm.
And
I've never heard anyone put it that way, but you're totally correct.
yeah.
Right.
And I think it's important for you to know your personality type and then find the niche that fits you and what's right for you.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a researcher. That's what I love doing. And so I started to look more at the creative finance aspect of real estate. Ron LeGrand, who I know you know pretty well, so did some of his training, and then started to look at mortgage notes, again, creative finance, and then again into tax lien and deed investing. And my stepbrother had actually told my mother and I about it probably about 9 or 10 years ago. And when he was talking about it, I was like, are you really sure that you can buy a house for the taxes?
Boom. If you're looking to make money with tax liens, I have a tool for you that can make that a lot easier. All you have to do is follow the instructions on the screen now, or tap the link in the description of this video and you will thank me later. Now back to the video.
And so, yeah, it took me 8 years to come back around. Still shorter than you, because I think this is like 20 years for you, but
Mm-hmm.
so yes, it took me a while, but when I started to look at it again and do some research and got some mentorship and training, and then I was like, oh my goodness, this is a great niche in real estate. Really works for my personality type, because it's something that it kind of couples all of my different strengths in terms of research, in terms of creative finance, and here I am today with in a pretty short period of time a property portfolio of liens and deeds of over $1 million. So
Nice. Okay, so if someone's starting out, all right, and as most people do, we're going to start out probably where we live, and property tax laws are different, and their processes are different in all states. All right,
Mhm.
but if someone was going to start out, what would you think would be the first thing they should do?
Okay, so the first thing you need to do is to get in contact with your local tax assessor. So every
On the county level, city level, or state level?
I would suggest at the county level, because the counties are the ones that do the major sales.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so contact your tax assessor office, or simply go to their website, and you can just do a Google search. So tax assessor, say Jefferson County, okay, or tax assessor Orange County, Hillsborough County, or even just tax sales your county.
Mm-hmm.
And then the tax assessor office and other specific county offices for the tax sales for delinquent taxes. Again, you may have to do add in some words depending on where you live, because the verbiage, the wording may be slightly different depending on where you live. But tax sales is across the board. Delinquent taxes, so I would just do a Google search, go to the official website first, read the instructions. Every county has the instructions in terms of how they run their tax sales. Okay, so that's number one. And then become familiar with the process for that particular county.
Okay, so if they reach out to an actual, they go to the website, but that may not be good enough for them. People learn in different ways or whatever. If they reach out to uh, the actual office to talk to a human being,
Yeah.
what should their expectations be? Uh, what should their expectations be when they're talking when if they take that approach?
Well,
Pros and cons, I guess you would say.
yeah. So if you're going to telephone, just remember that you're speaking to a human being, and these administrators are not allowed to take part in the tax sales themselves, and so they're basically not able to take advantage of the system themselves and to grow their own wealth and property portfolio. Um, and so, be nice and pleasant. They get many people calling. Some people are rude. Don't be one of the rude people. Just be pleasant, smiley, and they have the information that you want, that you need in order to succeed. And so, just remember that you may have to call back a few times, get somebody's name, address them by their name. How are you this morning? How's it going? Business is really a people, about being able to interact with people. So real estate is a people business, but all businesses are really people businesses.
All right. So now that's if you call them on the phone. I guess basically the same thing if you actually show up in person, because sometimes, depending on the county, sometimes it's hard to get them on the phone, right? And so you may have to just go show up, So that
I think it's the mixture of email, telephone, maybe having to physically go there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so assuming you get all the information, well, let me ask you this: whenever you are learning about the process, and I know it's going to vary from state to state, are your main objectives is to see number one the main objective is how can I make money on it? So now you're trying to figure out how many different ways can I make money on it? If you could just go through some of those.
In terms of the properties that you purchase, you mean?
Well, yeah, whatever you're pursuing, what should be I guess you should have an investment / exit strategy on the property. So based on the process, what's some of the things they could expect as far as potential opportunities to make money because of the process?
Yeah, absolutely. So I always, when I work with my mentees, I always start off with them thinking, well, what is the exit strategy for this particular piece of property? Now, the reality is that there are so many liens and deeds out there, Ty, that, you could go crazy and start picking up these things almost like sweets, because some of them are, very inexpensive. There are even places that sell them for like $26. I mean, it's very inexpensive.
Yeah.
Of course, you can go for a lot more than that, sometimes even over the market value. But there are many thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands that are for pennies on the dollar. So you don't want to be just one of those people who goes a bit crazy, starts picking these things up, and then you don't know what you're going to do with it.
Yeah.
Okay. And so having an exit strategy, having a property wealth creation strategy is really vital. So you may want to think to yourself, right, do I want to just focus on single family homes? Do I want to focus on multifamily, storage units, land, residential lots of land, agricultural land? So just like you would have a plan for any other type of real estate investing, same goes when you're invested in tax liens and deeds. And then you to think to yourself, am I going to be holding these for the long term? Do I want to flip these? So do I want to wholesale these? And then how will that go? How does that look?
Okay. All right. So let's get into your first deal and that process and what the end result was on your actual first property that you made money on.
Yeah. So the first one, the deed that I purchased was for $303.83, and I always remember the numbers there.
Yeah.
And I ended up selling that for $9,000. Now it was supposed to be a bit more than that because I had originally sold.
We'll do this where we don't want to skip over anything because we want them to understand the process. So number one, how did you locate this opportunity and why did you choose the particular market that you chose, the county, the state and county that you chose?
Yeah, okay. So I was I'm physically in Florida currently, and the Florida market at the time was it was too expensive for me. And so I had been advised by some mentors in the space to look at Alabama. So I started to look at Alabama, Mobile, which is far south in Alabama, nearer to Florida. And I was looking around and applying for the liens and the deeds, and things came through, but I don't know, I wasn't confident enough at the time to pull the trigger. I then started to look further up in Alabama and looked at Huntsville and then Birmingham. And of course, Birmingham has the largest population in the state. And I was applying for the liens and the deeds on the Alabama Department of Revenue website. And one came across that was a small amount of money. And I thought, well, hey, let me see what I can do with this. And so I didn't actually purchase it. What I did was I used Flipman's wholesaling techniques of finding a buyer first, getting the purchase and sales agreement locked up first, and then using the buyer's money to pay for the property. And then I coupled that with creative finance techniques because I actually sold that piece of property on a mortgage note.
Okay. What type of property was it?
So the property was a third of an acre of land, because again, I had been advised by my mentors at the time to just start with land because land is pretty straightforward. And I advise people to start off with land and understand the techniques and doing the due diligence on land, because when you're there are really only a few pointers when you need to assess land, as opposed to all of the due diligence you have to think about when you're getting a house. The roof, the walls, the foundation, all of these sorts of things. With land, well, what's the zoning? What's the size? What are the angles? And pretty much that's it. Okay. And of course, you do need to look at the market value, but that's pretty much what it is. And so, it's a piece of land in a little place north of Birmingham, a place called Warrior. And but it was attractive for a few reasons. It's in the countryside. The zoning was good for mobile homes, and for this particular person who purchased the land, he wanted to put a mobile home stroke trailer on the land.
How many? What was you remember the size of the land?
It's just over a third of an acre.
Okay, you said that. Okay. All right. So let's go through the deal. So you okay, so now I guess we won't get bogged down in the process with how Alabama does it, but they gave her an opportunity to purchase that piece of property for 300. And so it was a tax deed, not a certificate, right?
Deed, yeah.
Okay. So she could purchase that third of an acre for $303.83. All right. So basically, she had a window that she could purchase that property in. What was it, 1 week or 2 weeks back then?
So that was 10 days.
Okay. So 10 days. Okay. Is that 10 total days or 10 business days? Just out of curiosity.
10 total days, 10 calendar days.
10 calendar days. Okay. All right. So in those calendar days, you marketed the property for a buyer at $9,000, if I understand you correctly. And you gave them an opportunity you wanted to do it where you could set it up with owner financing. If you can go through those details.
Yeah. So, with owner financing, what happens is someone can put down a deposit, and then you, as the seller, can carry what they call the mortgage. So the person would simply pay you a certain amount each month for a specified period of time.
Okay. What were the details on that particular deal? What did you put a percentage on it as far as interest on that amount?
Yeah, so you can put a percentage on it. Normally it's anywhere between 8 to 12. For some people go even higher than that. I think we had about 10% on that particular deal.
Oh, how did you amortize it out? Was it over
60 months? It's over 60 months.
Over 5 years. So what was the monthly payment on it?
Oh, I would have to do the numbers actually.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's no big deal. So now, so to set that deal up, which I know the answer to it, but I want you to go through it. So you didn't execute it yourself. How did you get the deal closed? And I'm sure this is what you would recommend that someone would do it to make sure it's done right, because it's not just a cut and dry deal like you have a warranty deed versus a tax deed. And obviously the end game for the buyers to get a warranty deed or whatever, possibly. So if you can just go through how you set that up to make sure that would be in motion for your potential buyer.
Yeah, absolutely. So with any of these types of transactions in the tax lien and deed space, it's really important to use an attorney that specializes in this particular niche of real estate. So I would say only about maybe 5% of attorneys actually specialize in this particular niche. And even within that percentage, there are variations, let's just say that, in terms of knowledge and abilities. With this particular deal, the buyer went into the attorney's office and put down the down payment, the agreed down payment. The attorney would then...
do you remember the amount of the down payment?
I believe it's about $3,000 or $4,000 that he put down.
Okay. You were selling it for $9,000, and there was you required a down payment of we're just going to say $3,000, and then the actual tax deed cost was the $303.83, and then I'm sure there was some cost incurred with dealing with the actual attorney as far as their closing cost.
Right, exactly. So in the agreement, I believe either the buyer was going to pay the attorney or we were going to split it. So there was either a 50% split or the buyer. was going to pay the closing costs. I believe on that one it's actually a 50% split on the closing costs.
Okay.
Because the attorney, again, it's a specialized attorney, so there are, the attorney fees are a little bit different.
Okay, so basically you walked away on the initial down payment of and taking in consideration the tax deed had to be covered along with your share of the closing cost. So a couple of grand, a little over a couple of grand.
Right.
Okay. All right. So now so you have this set up. So the guy's going to be paying you every month. But how did that ended up? What ended up happening?
Yeah, so what ended up happening, because there is a bit of a delay between when the actual deed comes back from the state. Normally in Alabama, it's 6 to 8 weeks. Between that time, the chap, is a working man. I believe he's a tradesman. So he was able to get the rest of the funds together. And he approached us and he said, would you mind if I just paid off the rest of the money and then, in full, and be done with it? And so I said, yeah, hey, sure. And so that's what he did. And we just closed it out, and it was
boom. So just in a nutshell, so what she did was she found a tax deed for $303.83 and sold it for $9,000, a vacant piece of land. Am I correct?
You're correct.
Okay. All right. Now, how long did that take? What was the time frame from the point that it's called a price notification, from the price quote, whatever it's called, price quote notification. But whenever you got that, how long did it take to actually get paid the $9,000?
So probably about 8 weeks.
8 weeks, 2 months. Okay,
Yeah.
and that's because of the state and their process, right?
Yes. Yeah. Because of that delay in terms of them, signing off, goes from the county to the state, the governor, etc. That's the process in Alabama. In other places it can be a lot shorter. So, for example, in Florida, when you get the deed, when you take part in the auction, you will get the deed pretty much like within a week. And then you can actually go through in Florida. There's something called a certification process that you can go through, and that can be done in a few weeks.
Okay.
And then so really in Florida, I would say it's one of the quickest potential wholesaling environments for tax deeds.
Okay. So, and I don't think I was clear on those numbers either. Actually, what you did was you had an opportunity to buy a tax deed for $303.83 and sold it for $9,000, but you never actually put up the $303.83. It was done at the closing table, and you never spent a dime. So it really was an infinite return on your money. Am I correct?
You're correct.
Okay. Yeah. So that makes it even better. That she actually never even spent the money and still basically wholesaled it out. In reality, she wholesaled the tax deed. All right. So so if I would have to say now, so of course you've done a number of deals since that point, and this has really been in a short time frame. What would be the top 3 ways that someone could expect to be able to make money from tax deeds? And I know it depends on the state, but what would be the top 3 ways someone could expect to be able to make money?
Okay, so wholesaling is number one.
Okay.
Obviously, because we've just spoken about the wholesale deal. Buy and hold. So you just hold these the liens until they become a deed, and then or you just hold the deed, You could just hold them in your portfolio. Fine. Another thing that you can do is going into the creative finance portion. You can rent them out. So you could do a lease with an option to purchase. You could do a seller finance deal. You can do a straight market rent deal, Section 8. So we're talking about houses here. So the lien and deed process is simply a mechanism by which to acquire property. So it's just simply an acquisition strategy. So the disposition side or the exit strategy is going to be exactly the same as with any other type of real estate that you purchase. It's just the fact that you're acquiring the properties for pennies on the dollar for a much lower for a much lower
investment. Yeah.
Sorry, someone's just calling me.
Okay.
So that was attractive to me, and I'm sure it's attractive. I know it's attractive to many other people.
Yeah. You did you mention the interest that you say if it was a tax certificate or even a tax lien that depending on the state they could pick up. Some people just like to purchase those for the redemption. If someone redeems the property, they can get a certain percentage back on their money. So you have entire companies that just buy thousands of them on a yearly basis just to do that. So you can explain that.
Yeah, absolutely. So there are so the other way of thinking about tax liens in particular. Well, let me just go back a step. So you have tax liens and you have tax deeds. Now, for the majority of the states, after a period of time, the tax lien automatically becomes a deed. In Florida, it's slightly different. There's a lien track, there's a deed track, and then you have to force the lien to go into a deed sale. So a little bit more difficult, a little bit more technical. But you have the lien and you have the deed. Now, there are some people who only ever want to invest in a lien. And why would somebody only want to invest in a lien? Well, because they want the interest rate that is attached to that lien. They don't want to deal with the property because the deed, when you get a deed, that means you have an interest or ownership of the property. Some people do not want the underlying asset, which is the property. They just want the interest rate. So therefore, they will do their due diligence when they're looking at the different properties available, and they're actually looking for properties that the owners of those properties will, at some point in time, pay off the tax debt. Okay, so they redeem the property. That's what we call it in the industry. But basically, they will go in. They're just late payers, and some of them may be habitual late payers, but they will pay at some point in time. So you can find out all of this when you do your due diligence, because you can actually see when people pay their property taxes. So for some investors, that's okay, because they don't want the underlying asset, which is the property, the house, the land, etc., mobile home, etc. So with the liens, you can get 6, 8, 10, 12, 18, 25% on your money, on your investment. So if you think about it, if you're investing $100, 8%, at 8%, you're getting
$8.
Exactly, $108 back.
Yeah.
And so when you're doing that over and over and over again, and with higher amounts of money, then you can see how you're really able to take advantage of this particular system. And so you do have, like you said, Ty, you have these huge hedge funds who will buy up a lot of liens because they can get a serious amount of interest.
Correct. Okay. Wow. Wow. A lot of different ways to take advantage of property tax deeds, delinquent taxes, basically. All right. So now you're versed in a number of states, and you've done well with it. And so if people want to learn how to do this, um, you offer training. You offer a free seminar. You do it periodically, and we have one as the date of this video a couple of days from now. So how and well, let's do this. We'll tell them how to access it. It'll be on the screen here when I edit this video. But um, uh, go through what to expect as someone wants to learn more about this in that training.
Okay, so I have a masterclass, Generating Opulence Leveraged by Deeds, Tax Lien and Deeds Masterclass, taking place, the next one, taking place on Monday, October the 17th at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. As you said, you'll be sharing the link, a particular link for your folks. And if they come through using that link, and we do have a general session and we have a VIP session. Now, if they upgrade to the VIP session, there are lots of bonuses like coming into a private Zoom room with me, being able to ask questions. They'll get a recording of both the general session and the VIP session that they can watch at their own leisure and with other people, and a few other bonuses. And that's specifically for your people time. So in the general session, I'll be showing, teaching and training on how to, where to find and how to buy the tax liens and deeds.
Nice. Okay, guys. You'll see it here on the screen on how to access that actual training. And also, it'll be in the description of this particular video. Now, if you watch this beyond this date, you're normally going to have them every month, every couple of months, or what. So, because what'll happen, this video will be uploaded to YouTube, but people will still want to learn more. So, what is there an option for that?
Yeah. So what they can do is, again, just simply click on Ty's link, and it will be Ty's link will always take you through to the most updated version of the masterclass.
Okay. All right. Great.
What they need to do. And I have to say that Ty did attend the masterclass last time and the VIP session.
Yeah. Yeah, I did.
Yeah, right. So
all right. Yeah. So, all right. So, guys, you're going to see how to access that training that's coming up here a couple of days. But also, before we get out of here, Michelle, anything you want to add as far as a bit of encouragement or whatever to anyone that's watching this and they're thinking about doing this form of real estate investing?
yeah, so I would like to simply say that if you're serious about creating wealth, creating generational wealth, so for yourself, for your generations, then make sure that you build up your skills, your real estate acquisition skills. And wholesaling is wonderful, but you've also seen that you could do wholesaling with tax liens and tax deeds. And it really is just one of the, as far as I'm concerned, and a few other colleagues of mine, we believe that this is one of the best acquisition methods in real estate. And it's a niche of a niche. It's still pretty much unsaturated, and the opportunities are just what I say, golden. And so I would really encourage you to come to the masterclass, be in the room, be among other people who are like-minded, real estate minded, entrepreneurial in their spirit, upgrade to the VIP, be able to interact with others, ask direct questions. And don't be frightened. Just jump in. I'm here to help, and I'm sure Ty will also encourage you. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you all on Monday. If not this Monday, in another session, but certainly please come along.
All right, boom. Right, guys. So there you have it there. So you're gonna have an opportunity to learn more. Really liked what I heard there. Someone already knew the information. That's why I sort of led to questions. And we didn't get to it, but I know they hear the accent. Please identify the origin of the accent.
Well, it's not Australian.
It's not. So what other part of the world is it from?
It's English. It's from
Okay. All righty, guys. So thanks again, Michelle, for sharing your unbelievable knowledge, and can't wait to join the event on Monday. And guys, I encourage you to do the same. Unbelievable opportunity. A lot of people ask questions about it all the time. So now here's your opportunity to get those answers. Get into another form of real estate where it really costs very little money. The knowledge itself is where you get paid in transactions, as she did on her first deal, $303.83. Never spent the 303.83, and I would say at least cleared $8,000 minimum. So after selling it for $9,000. So again, we appreciate Michelle showing up for us and sharing her knowledge. As
Can I
always,
ask
go ahead.
you? Yeah.
Mhm.
So since you found out about it, Ty, what have you been doing?
Well, I have one of the young ladies here on the team here. She's been searching using a tool which I'll probably have marketed it throughout this video, but to look for potential properties. I actually have the attorney working on a commercial property that I want to pursue. So hopefully we can locate the individuals that are that have the redeeming rights for us. It's in a tax deed status, but not to get too complicated, but basically no one has bought it yet. It has 200 and something applications on it. And I think they're at number 40 something. So obviously there's not a lot of interest in it as far as what it'll take to acquire the property. I think it's right. I think in October. Well, we're in October now, so I think it'll be about $40,000 or so to buy the tax deed, but it's worth like 300 or whatever. So I'm trying to get it in the position where we get the person or the entity that has the redeeming rights to sign it over for a nominal fee, maybe $1,000 or so or less. And then once we get it on the get those redeeming rights, now we have something of value that we can market the property out without having to spend the 40,000. Well, we'll market it out obviously at a higher price and let the person that purchases it pay the state, and we get the difference or whatever. So that's what I'm doing. That's the one property we're targeting right now that I actually spent money on. So we'll see how it goes. It hadn't happened yet, so we got to get those redeeming rights first. So boom,
So this,
to answer your question.
yeah, that's great. All right, and how many weeks ago was it now? About 6 weeks ago we had lunch.
Yes, that sounds about right. Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
down. We sat down across a lovely meal, and I spoke with you about liens and deeds, and now look what you're doing.
Yeah, I'm not just curiosity. Let me see when that was. Let me see. We've texted a lot since then. Let me see. What date was that on? Can you meet me?
I believe in
Uh,
August.
yeah, it was in August. It was. Let me see. Man, we've texted a lot since. Okay, yeah. So it was on Friday, September 9th. All
Oh,
right. So what we're in? Yeah, it's about 5 weeks. Yeah. Yeah.
and you've just kind of picked it up and run with it, and great. And I believe it's going to be one of many.
Oh yeah, no question about it. No question about it. So again, guys, hey, take advantage of it. I try. to give you. You can lead a horse to the water, but you can't make them drink. So don't be the horse that don't drink. You'll dehydrate and die. As I always like to say, guys, we'll see you on the flip side. Thanks again, Michelle.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Text me and I'll text you back. Text me and I'll text you back. Text me and I'll text you back. You text me then I'll text you back. Text me then I'll text you back. TikTok, you don't stop. I will help you make your paper stack. Where you at? Where you at? Where you at? Where you at now? 205-964-5243. Yep. 205-964-5243. You know.